You know, it's part of the gig. You hit the gavel. You know? We convened earlier for closed session, but I figured, you know, I didn't want to. We're back in session. So, let's see. We have a motion to reconvene back into open session. We have a motion to have a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. And do I have? No, we are right. Okay, so I just need board members to certify that the only items on the closed agenda were discussed in closed session. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All that opposed, that motion carries. All right, now the pledge. I'll lead this one. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next up, we have our consent agenda. Minutes from our last general meeting. Do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, motion carries. Recognitions, Dr. Frazier.
All right. Good evening, board members and guests. We do have several recognitions for the month of April, and you can see those recognitions on the screen. I will highlight a few of them. So we do have some month-long recognitions, which include recognition of Military Child Month. And so tomorrow we will be recognizing Purple Up Day in honor of Military Child Month. We also are celebrating Autism Awareness Month this month. We're celebrating child abuse prevention. In front of our schools, you will see pinwheels in recognition of child abuse prevention. We're also celebrating Counseling Awareness Month and School Library Month. During the week of spring break, hopefully you saw and liked our post on Facebook where we highlighted our assistant principals for National Assistant Principal Week. We also recognize that week on the 3rd, our paraprofessionals or our interventionists. We celebrated National Librarian Day, the Week of the Young Child, National Robotics Week. We had Earth Day, which is coming up on the 22nd. School Bus Appreciation Day is on the 23rd, and Administrative Professionals Day on the 24th. And at this time, I will call on our principals to present their RISE Awards. Their RISE Awards for students and then their RISE Awards for staff. So I have Ms. Brick first.
This month's WPES Student RISE Award goes to Keaton Hawkins. Keaton is a 5th grader new to West Point and has been an awesome addition to our Pointer family. He has quickly developed relationships with his peers and teachers, embraces excellence by putting forth his best efforts always, and maintains an easygoing demeanor. Keaton was meant to be your pointer. For our staff teacher of the month, we are thrilled to announce that Chris Brizendine is this month's RISE Award recipient. Ms. Brizendine's colleagues report that her passion for teaching shines through in her unwavering support for both students and colleagues. She builds strong relationships with her students and their families, creating a safe and nurturing environment where every child can thrive. Ms. Brizendine's innovative teaching methods and dedication to student success make her a true role model in our school community.
All right, for tonight, our middle school RISE Award goes to 8th grader Elijah Billett. Elijah is described by his teachers as respectful and hardworking, and he demonstrates excellence by remaining on task and working hard in his classroom. His teachers say that even when others are off track, Elijah continues to work diligently, and they appreciate his hard work and focus. Our High School Rise Award goes to sophomore Colin O'Neill. Colin's teacher says that he demonstrates excellence in the classroom. He's a hard worker who does not allow obstacles or setbacks to stop him from working towards his goals. He demonstrates grit, takes the time to build relationships, and he laughs and cheers others up along the way, and they appreciate his performance in the classroom. So our Rise Award for a teacher, I like kind of reading these backwards because it builds like anticipation. So this month's teacher is described by students as, students said this teacher has an appreciation for his students and makes learning fun and easy. This teacher helps students and others whenever needed and is genuinely a funny person. This teacher is nice and explains how students can implement what they learned in school in the real world. He's good at teaching and makes things understandable. Students also say he is caring, funny, and knows how to develop relationships with people of all ages. One student stated that this teacher makes them want to come to school. And that is Mr. Mike Henrich. Congratulations.
So we are always happy to recognize our Student and Staff Rise Award, and so that concludes my recognition for tonight.
Thank you. On to our presentations. Ms. Britt and Ms. Farmer, you're up.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Last time I was here, I barely had a voice. I am happy to report I feel much better. So tonight we wanted to talk to you about the Virginia Literacy Plan and what that means for our school and how that led to the selection of our reading curriculum for the elementary school. How do I have those here? Right here? There we go. There it is. Oh, I can see that. Getting a little older, so I like to have the hard copy in front of me. The Virginia Literacy Act was passed in Virginia in 2022 by the General Assembly, and it is an effort to lead the nation to improve literacy outcomes for Virginia's young learners. So through the VLA, the Virginia Department of Education wants to support school divisions through a multi-year effort, which is starting this year and will really begin to be implemented next year. So the plan addresses the fact that 1 in 3 students in kindergarten through 2nd grade are reading below their benchmark. So it's an effort to bring everybody up. So the objectives of the Virginia Literacy Act are as follows. Every student in grades K through 5 will receive core literacy instruction from an evidence-based literacy curriculum and receive additional evidence-based intervention if they're not meeting those literacy benchmarks. And that's really what I'm here to talk about tonight, but I'll just hit on the other aspects of the act. Every family will have access to online resources for support for literacy at home. And then also one of the things with the Literacy Act is that a student reading plan will be developed if the child is not meeting benchmarks. And that every teacher will use this new literacy-based curriculum to access student learning using approved literacy screeners, data, instruction, intervention, and participate in training on the instruction level and on how to use the curriculum. Part 4, every reading specialist in consultation with classroom teachers will coordinate and oversee intervention, which is a little bit more in depth with the plan than what I normally do. So it meets about students not meeting literacy benchmarks and develop and monitor student progress using those literacy plans that we spoke about earlier. And of course, working closely with families and teachers. And as a division, we are in the process of developing our literacy plan to ensure that the evidence-based literacy curriculum, that it's being used, staff, enough reading specialists to support intervention needs, and provide PD for everyone who helps these students and who participates. specialists, administrators, teachers, interventionists. So after a several month process, we chose a program called from Open Up Resources called Bookworms. And this is a curriculum that has been approved from the Virginia Department of Education for grades K through 5. So the process started, how we chose the curriculum, started with the process of developing a team of teacher leaders and administration. And we met about every 6 weeks. That eventually became a little more frequent as we started coming down to the wire of making the choice to of middle school and elementary school. Forgot to say that. So we met in September. The VDOE had released a list of K2 programs that were approved. So we started with that and narrowed down from there to 3 programs that we thought would be interesting to research and see how they could work with our system. We met again in November and in January to kind of look at those a little bit deeper. We got some hard copy samples. We had the digital resources that came with each of those programs and kind of looked as grade levels at the program to see each one program to see how they would work for us. Somewhere in there, I think it was January, the VDOE released the K through 5 reading, the approved programs for K through 5. And luckily, all 3 of our programs that we were looking at were included through 5th grade. So that was great. Ms. Bianca Gresham created a teacher survey for us that helped us to really narrow down, look at each curriculum by the 5 pillars of literacy to see how it, each curriculum would work based on the science of reading and looking at phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. We got some good feedback from that from the teachers, and we were able to narrow down to Bookworms and Open Court. As a matter of fact, we chose Bookworms because it wasn't a unanimous decision, but it was really close. All the grade levels involved, except for one, chose Bookworms. So we felt like that was a good representation of, and that was across the grade level, so it wasn't like 5th grade didn't want it or kindergarten didn't want it. It was, just somewhere in the middle. And we're like, okay, we can work with this. So they were totally on board. So we looked again at that last meeting. We found a curriculum, it's not a curriculum, it's more of an evaluation rubric from the Reading League that helps school districts just choose a reading curriculum. And it narrows it down by the different strands based on science-based reading. So making sure that the curriculum isn't encouraging guessing or using picture clues when they're reading, but really looking at the words, decoding the words, breaking it down, looking at the prefixes and suffixes and the morphology of the word, and how are we really teaching them to learn to read instead of guessing of what they think the word is going to be. So that's really what the science of reading is all about, is making sure that it's all explicitly taught. So upon review, the team decided that Bookworms curriculum best met our needs based on the VDOE guidelines for quality core literacy instruction, based on that science-based reading research and evidence-based literacy instruction. So the format is pretty easy. It consists of 3 45-minute blocks, totaling 135 instructional minutes. And we're going to try to do this to the, what's the word? I'm talking too much. Validity. Thank you. I knew I was going to get it. We're trying to use it with as much validity as we can, but 3 45-minute blocks are a lot. So we're going to use it to the best that we can with the time that we have and make sure that we really pull what the kids need when they need it. Because we really want them to be proficient lifelong learners. So one thing that we really liked about the program is it is designed to expose students to a high volume of rich and diverse texts that are not presented in a basal format, where like a reading book, where they're all in one bound copy. These are books that you can go to the library and check out, or you can buy at your Barnes & Noble. But each classroom, that would be one of the purchases, would have a set of trade books that they would use that the kids could then interact with. That's one thing we really liked about it. Another good thing is the teacher manual and the student lessons are available in both print and digital. So we wouldn't have to buy a teacher manual. It's online. It's downloadable. Supplemental student materials and trade books are available in print. Those are the student workbooks that they would do their practice work in. We would have to purchase those hard copies. Those would be consumables. But the trade books would be a one-time purchase. Because once we have them, we have them. And the hope is that we could get one for each classroom, one set of those books for each classroom, so you wouldn't have to worry about, hey, I'm going to read this book today, or you read the book today, or can I get it at 2 if you read it at 9, like teachers do. So if we just have it, that would be really super. So a couple things that we liked is that it incorporates deep knowledge building across the grade levels. So it starts in kindergarten with that deep knowledge building with read alouds. And they read the book and they talk about it in different ways each time they read the book. So they're looking for different aspects of the book, vocabulary, different comprehension things, how it applies to real life, those scenarios. It incorporates differentiated, explicit, and systematic instruction in those foundational literacy skills. So we're making sure that students are getting exactly what they need when learning how to read and decode those words. And it just starts with the basics, like consonant sounds, and then a couple vowel sounds. And then they roll into decoding 2-letter words, 3-letter words, and then it builds up through the grade levels. Excuse me. So students are assessed and grouped according to skill acquisition, which allows for more fluidity in daily reading groups, which is something that is also coming forth from the VLA through what used to be PALS. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Is going to be turning into VALS for this upcoming school year, which is always fun. But it's actually pretty great because that assessment that the students would take in K through 3 really breaks down what skills they're weak on, and then kind of helps you to form your reading groups based on skill. So you might have a student in 3 groups based on what skills they need. So they'd all be, you're with me here, but then you're over here, and then you come back to me for this skill group, and then you go over there and you come back to me for this skill group. So it's just very fluid. It sounds interesting. I'm learning more about it in the Canvas course I'm taking through the VLA. And it also allows for equitable access to challenging texts, because a lot of these challenging texts are read aloud. So the students also have opportunity to read independently, but the challenging texts that you do as a classroom are read aloud. So everyone, no matter their reading level, they're getting that exposure to it and getting that deep conversation about these texts like we do as adults with book groups and things like that. So while the content changes with every new challenging book, the writing, discussion, and vocabulary routines repeat. So it's consistency. There's a couple sample lesson plans on here. I don't know if you wanted to take a quick look at them, or if I'm talking too much already. That's up to y'all. I included them in case you wanted to check it out. These sample lesson plans are also on the that Knowledge First link that's at the top, which is a website that reviewed several reading curriculums, Bookworms being one of them, and has a lot of nice things to say about it. Are y'all clicking?
Put my computer away.
Good for you. I've been cold all day long, but now I'm talking. There you go. So it just gives a little introduction at the top, how they use full length trade books to build knowledge, and then as you scroll down, it rolls through a couple different grade levels and how they would address different topics in different grade levels. And I like that there's writing with every book in every grade level. So it builds that writing component from the very beginning. Thank you, students. So this other one is the foundational skills, so that's more of the letter sounds, bell teams, things like that, that students learn as they're learning decoding and spelling. Thanks. So as far as the stakeholders go, it's important that everyone has a say and has a look at the curriculum we're talking about. So we started with the school-based VLA team as we reviewed the curriculum. The grade level teams in K through 5 reviewed the curriculum for the teacher survey. School board presentation this evening. And tomorrow we're going to do a public and parent review and comment period during our kindergarten registration day at the elementary school. So we'll have open opportunity for any parents to come in between 8 and 9, in between 6 and 7, to come view the curriculum, and I'll be in the library with it. Anybody wants to come say hi? I'll have the website up on the smart board, and I'll have the hard copy samples available for review, and several of the trade books that they send. So a couple resources that we used to build this: the Virginia Literacy Act is there, the Bookworm site is there, and the Knowledge Matters campaign, which is where I got, they reviewed the curriculum very well, so I included some of their information in the slideshow. And thank you very much. We hope to get this approved and get it all straight. So the staff is really excited to start training before the end of the year, just so they can start wrapping their heads around it over the summer, and then when we come back in August, really, start putting it in place. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer. Sounds like a very collaborative sourcing effort.
We definitely thank Ms. Farmer for all that she's done to help lead this process. Being new in her position and also having to take on these new pieces, we are definitely grateful for the work that she's done. And so we will be asking the board at our May meeting to approve the curriculum. That way our teachers can begin training and we can begin the rollout process.
Dr. Hauser is up for the report on pre-K expansion.
Well, I can't believe between Ms. Farmer's presentation and what I'm about to present that there isn't just standing room only in here.
I know, right?
But I'm really excited to present to you all this evening 2 of our old new initiatives. So here we go. Preschool expansion. So let's start there. So we're talking about next year, 2024 and 2025. I know when I was a kid, 2025 sounded really far away. Last Thursday, we had our pizza and preschool information night. It was from 5 to 7 p.m. Our community partners were there with us. We always invite them. So Head Start, PCDC, OLDS, Busy Bees, Pizzi, SPED, Title I, and Speech were there, and also the Methodist preschool was there. I don't know what happened to the Methodist preschool, but they popped off the slide. But everyone was there and represented, as well as our West Point Elementary School preschool programs, and we have 3. So we have ECSE, IPOP, and DPI. So 3 preschool programs is a lot going on for a small school system, but here we go. So just as a reminder, ECSE is Early Childhood School Experience. That is for students who are identified as having special needs and a need to start school early. So those students can start with us as early as 2 years old. So then they're with us for 3 to 4 years before they matriculate into kindergarten, in a best effort to get them on the right path to being able to learn right alongside of their fellow kindergarten students. We also have IPOP, which is improving inclusive practices and outcomes for preschoolers. And what that is we invite staff and faculty to fill out an application where their typically developing 4-year-old child can attend preschool with us in the IPOP program. And those students not only get great preschool education, but they are typically developing peers for some of our ECSE students to look to for models and peer support. And then, as you know, 2.5 years ago, we began with BPI, which is the Virginia Preschool Initiative. Admission is competitive. We didn't realize how competitive it is until this year. And you have to meet certain criteria. So you have to have certain income threshold levels, and you also or have to have certain risk factors in your family, which makes giving your preschooler an early start that much more important. So you know that for the past 2 years, we've had 4-year-old BPI, and then next year, for the first time, we will have 3 and 4-year-old BPI. So how we got started with this is I probably more than any other thing, I get more calls from parents and community members about preschool. So I kept telling our leadership team and some of the people in this room, I'm getting a lot of calls about this. So we put out a form to see if our community members would be interested if we had and could offer a 3-year-old preschool. And they overwhelmingly responded with, yes, we hope you do. So we decided to open our application for admission for 3 and 4-year-olds, just to increase our access to these kids, the sooner the better. And also, we noticed last week during our pizza and preschool night, it's just a time where we can start some of these relationships with families even sooner, because we were all there to see it. But a lot of the preschoolers had 2 or 3 siblings younger than them with them, so and that was my face too. So there's lots of young families here and moving here. So our application was open to 3 and 4-year-olds. So what that meant is that as we forge forward into next year, over the past 4 years, our preschool program has grown by 400%. So we just started with ECSE, and we added on IPOP and BPI, and now we're expanding BPI. So these are really exciting times, really. So as part of BPI expansion, we will have both a 3-year-old independent classroom and a 4-year-old independent classroom. But we also have some models in place where all 3 of our preschool programs get to work with every teacher in small groups. So we have quite a rotation going on over there, but it's really great because it just gives the kids an opportunity to be with more kids and find true friends, and hopefully they'll have for the next 14 or 15 years in school here. And also an opportunity to learn from different people, because we all know that sometimes you connect a little differently with one teacher than another, so it just gives them a chance for that. And I wish I could say that we only had 37 applications, but the application actually closed yesterday, and we have 40 applications now, and there's 28 spots. So that's sad. And so the reason why I know that there's more younger families here is because Angie told me at OLDS that their 4-year-old classroom is full for next year after preschool information night. So other programs are filling their spots, and we still have people asking about this. So that's going to be hard. I actually printed out the applications today, and part of my reason for that is I didn't want to be tempted to start looking to see if anyone applied today, because I forgot to close the setting, but I've done that now. And every single parent had such great justification for why we should accept their child. So it's a little bit sad to have to make those choices, but we have to rely back on the criteria and some of the income thresholds, which makes it easier. But this is the first time it's happened that we will have so many applications and not not close to that amount of people who have applied. I mean, that's far more. So at least 12 kids will not get in, which is sad. But we'll make sure we place them or send them to our partners in the community. So now we're at the point where, we've been through all of how does this tie into our strategic plan. And of course, under our goals, number 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, preschool expansion definitely connects to all of those goals under teaching and learning. So now, after we've established all that, we've surveyed the community, we've met as a team and as a group, now we're thinking about logistics. So we're thinking about different space and use of space and how we can make some good decisions there. We're talking through budget and how much money will be allotted based on our student numbers and what that money will go for. We also need to hire a teacher who's dedicated to 3-year-olds, and we need to do that soon. We need to think about what supplies we need, what furniture we need for a new kind of classroom. So it's not a kindergarten classroom. And Ms. Britt, we were all working on this as a part of a team, and she said, well, the cafeteria furniture is going to have to be smaller for 3-year-olds. And it's true. We have to make some different choices on how we prepare. Of course, there is an application process, so over the next few weeks, we'll be needing to make some of those difficult decisions and help people make maybe their second choice decision with our community partners. And then these 3-year-olds, part of BPI is for these 3-year-olds to be here for a regular school day. So they will be here at the same time as everyone else, and they will leave at the same time as everyone else. They do get a nap, which is exciting, and we should all try to visit during that time. Yes. But they will be, we'll be getting them as close as we can to be experiencing a typical school day with maximum learning and socialization, activity, and so on and so forth. But it's really, really an exciting time. So I don't know if you have questions, if you've had questions from some of your constituents in the community, but this is exciting, particularly post-COVID. Generally, the sooner we can get students involved with education, a more formal setting for education, the better. Particularly, part of the BPI funding process is because so many small communities just don't have childcare options, or we're lucky that we do have some great preschool options. So part of that is very true too, like the demand on households requires that there be 2 working individuals to support the family. So all of these have been taken into consideration as we thoughtfully meet and move forward. But I hope that you see this as a great thing that I see it as, and I'm here to answer questions if you have any. So.
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
I don't think they're very hard.
Yeah.
So, logistics wise, you mentioned the space. So,
yeah.
Where would we be putting?
Well,
my recollection of the elementary schools are pretty
yeah.
full. So where are we putting them?
Yeah. So there's a closet. No, I'm just
Okay.
So there are some flexible spaces down near where the preschools are located now. So we have a new fantastic STEAM room that we do not want to touch, but we also have a makerspace where we've been exploring some use surveys with the teachers to see if they've been using that, and that could be a potential space. And has been part of our conversations to better utilize that space. Before we had such a strong STEAM program, that space really was utilized constantly by the teachers. But now they're really relying on the rotation in the STEAM art classroom setting for those needs. So we would be considering changing that space around.
And there's some options for the items that are in that classroom in that makerspace now, where we can get some carts and teachers can check those carts out and utilize the items in their classrooms. The other thing with the makerspace is used for this year, Ms. Britt has started to use the makerspace for SOL testing, and so we will have to come up with another solution for that moving forward. But I think when we weigh adding preschool or using the makerspace for testing a few times a year, I think
mean, I wouldn't want my 3-year-old just sitting down and.
Doing worksheets.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, we need to have some sort of, and I assume you've already got this straight, so I was hoping it wasn't a hard
Yes.
question, but what exactly are we looking at
Right.
having
So,
them do?
right. So when we first started with BPI 3 years ago, we had to choose a curriculum. We chose investigators. So that will be our curriculum that we use with 3-year-olds, but it's all best practice preschool. It's exploring, it's constructivist, it's problem based, working with friends and classmates on simple problems. It's together play. It's all the things you would want in a preschool. It's not going to be calculus, and worksheets. So, but you're right. I mean, as we formalize education sooner and sooner, you have to be developmentally appropriate and socially appropriate, and even fine motor and physically appropriate. They can't sit in their seat for 7 hours. I mean, so and we've begun all of that. Did you know that, Ms. Farmer? They can't sit in their seat. No. So all that's in consideration. So at the same time, we have 2-year-old students who have exceptional learning needs, who we think about in the same way. So because preschool for our ECSE and our 3-year-old BPI will be so much younger, it's gonna have to look different. Those classes are in smaller numbers where you can be more individualized with needs and instruction. So, we're on it. This will be new enough that we will have to review, discuss, and revise and move on as we discover things might not work, or they need a longer nap, or they need 2 naps, or whatever they need. But it'll be a great growing, experience. And the person that we hire, just like our other preschool teachers, will be licensed and ready to roll with kids of that age. So,
Thank you.
yes. Anything else?
Yeah. First, this is awesome. I can't think of a more transformational opportunity, not only for the students, but for our community too.
Right.
So, I applaud Dr. Frazier and you all for just starting BPI 2 years ago. Frankly, it's embarrassing we hadn't had something like that. But so for the opportunity, I think it's great. When you look at the numbers, that 28 spots over 3-year-old and 4-year-old, is that an even 14 each?
No, sir. So it's 10. Well, I can't remember now, so I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but it's somewhere between 10 and 12 for 3-year-old applications, and the rest are 4-year-old applications.
And I'm assuming, like we've experienced with the 4-year-old program, if the demand is here and the state has the funding, those numbers could go higher.
They could. We actually discussed a great deal as an instructional and central office leadership team about whether we could make that second BPI classroom a 3 early young 4 classroom, and we can. We have some flexibility. So for example, we have some students who will just have turned 4, like maybe in September. So they would meet the criteria for 4. We could, if their needs are greater when we're looking at the application and some of those factors, we could include them in to the 3-year-old class. So we have a little bit of flexibility with that, but I can say that the majority of our applicants have 4-year-old students. And part of that might just be a growth opportunity, like they were expecting the 4-year-old program. People have made other arrangements for their 3-year-old, or decided to stay home, or grandma's helping, or whatever the situation is. So I predict next year, it'll just keep ticking up as far as that goes.
I feel like I remember 16 students being a threshold.
Yeah.
So, okay, so 28.
Yeah, we can't have that many. So BPI says, I think their standard is like 18.
Okay.
But it also, that's not how we choose to view students. I think we all know that we can have 18 students over here, and then we can have 3 students over here, and it can feel like the same amount. you know. So we really have to look at some of those needs. And with BPI, students with an IEP are accepted. And you know, some students have had a year of preschool when they were 3 and some have not. You know, there's all kinds of different, because part of that criteria is English is not your first language. Part of the criteria is foster care, being raised by a relative. You know, so there's other things that have gone on there. So we really have to look kind of closely. Like, we have to watch our criteria so we don't get muddled up. Because, you know, if we start putting faces to the applications, we're all going to be crying. It's going to be a big disaster. But anyhow, but we have to really kind of think about that when we're planning. So last year, our BPI class had 18. This year, it has 16. And next year, it might have 18, it might have 15, it might have 19, you know. It will just depend on what we're seeing when we make those decisions.
And also remembering that number 16 where we started with last year, that number was based on the calculation from the state.
Right.
The state told us that they were giving us 16 slots. And so they gave us 16 slots, but we were able to receive additional slots because other schools or other school divisions did not use all of their slots. So that's how we were able to add an additional 2 students to come up with that 18.
Right. Okay.
And so, and that may continue to be the case if other schools don't use their slots, and we may be able to, they may award us additional slots. But we just always want to be mindful of the numbers in those classrooms as well.
But I mean, a lot of people in this room were present for the information night last Thursday. It was so exciting. The kids were like, "Can I come now?" You know, it's just so like, "Is this my school?" You know, and it's just fun to meet the parents and see them so excited about school. And the kids are excited. You know, they came in to get pizza and talk with me and Dr. Frazier, and they were like, and then they left like, "Bye, see you later." And I was like, "Okay, what's happening?" But you know, just precious families and precious kiddos. So it's just exciting. So if you think of questions, always reach out. I'm happy to answer and talk about preschools. It's fun stuff. All right.
Great. I think you're still up.
Here
for
I am.
Summer Academy.
Yes. Yes. So here we go. So Summer Academy. Miss Ball was going to be here with me, but she had another obligation with students, so here I am. But really, we've worked through Summer Academy, again, much like we did with preschool, as a core instructional leadership team. So that's Ms. Roach, and Ms. Bird, and Ms. Britt, and then others in this room too, as leadership have come in and given us feedback and helped us get on the right course for Summer Academy 2024. So the purpose is to close learning gaps, prepare for the next school year, mediate social emotional needs, recover learning loss, and also credit recovery. Phew, a lot going on. Faculty and staff. So the additional admin, in the past we have had, and you all remember that we had Mrs. Jennifer Gay and Mr. Wade Smith, and they did a phenomenal job. And they have some other things going on this summer, so Ms. Ball has stepped up to the plate, which is amazing. We're also working to identify some other building level leaders who can provide some leadership for Summer Academy. And we've had 21 faculty and staff fill out our form to teach, which is an amazing number, especially considering what I'm about to tell you. And that's where we're going to have 4 weeks of instruction as opposed to 2. So our staff, I mean, I think I know that I say this to you every time I'm in front of you, but we really have amazing teachers and instructional staff who really want to make a difference, including during the summer. So Ms. Bird was the first one to say, "Hey, 2 weeks isn't long enough, we need 4. And the rest of us jumped on board as well, because we really do need 4. And the learning needs we're seeing now are greater, and we just need more time with kids. So 4 weeks, June 17th to July 11th, with 2 holidays mixed in there, 8 a.m. to 12, Monday through Thursday. And then a new component we're adding this year is both Ms. McHouston and Ms. Powell are going to do individual counseling, not individual counseling, I apologize, personal counseling with small groups in the afternoons. So they're having some social emotional kind of camps, that they're doing some special activities with some of our most at-risk students, as at-risk health-wise, mental health-wise, at risk for not being present in school, all of those things. So those sessions will be offered in the afternoon because a lot of those children are going to be in here in the morning with us as well. So that's going to be exciting. You know, those are things that the kids are going to want to do because we've planned out and our counselors have planned out some amazing things. So we have several different instructional models that are going to be happening this summer. There's going to be a pre-K boot camp, so making that transition from pre-K into kindergarten. And a lot of those students will probably be students we have never seen. Not our preschool students that we have, but maybe some. But I remember last year we were like, oh, never knew some of these friends existed. I'm glad I do now. We're going to have the resilience counseling groups. There'll be students who need reading support, students who need math support, students there who need a credit, so they're going to be recovering their credit. There's going to be some of our English language learners there, and we are also offering extended school year, which is something different than the above things. So we have a lot going on, and we're just trying to use any time that we can be with students to our fullest benefit and potential for their learning needs. So during Summer Academy, we're going to be taking pre-assessment and post-assessment data to measure the growth they've made in those 4 weeks. We're also going to be taking attendance data, and we're talking through what kind of attendance policy we can have. And then, of course, they're going to have their course completion data in the form of grades for earning their credits. So part of what makes it able to happen 4 weeks and with 21 teachers, because we're going to hire every single one of those teachers so we can get our groups smaller and smaller. So whereas we might have had 12 students for a Summer Academy class, now we might have 6 because there's 2 teachers signed up to teach. So that's awesome. So we have summer school funding, which is traditional. We get that every year. And then we have our All in Virginia funding. So we can expand our program without having to tap into any more local funds, which is great. Another opportunity. We've talked through breakfast and lunch. So every student will get breakfast and every student will get a to-go lunch. So that's great because we had some struggles with how we could get all of this accomplished for 4 weeks, and a lot has to happen in the cafeteria over the summer. So they're going to get to-go lunch, and a lot of the students will probably prefer that. Amy Busick is also working on making sure snack packs are available through the Church of the Nazarene during the summer for our kids. So that's just going to be a continuation of a lot of the good stuff that's happening. But you know, philosophically, when we are in our data meetings and we're talking about students, not only do we really want to make sure the kids are with us who have academic needs, but there's also kids who we want there because we want to have our eyes on them over the summer to make sure they're getting what they need. So all of that has gone into consideration with the planning. Our faculty is getting 2 days of planning time to plan out Summer Academy and look through the data. We've already begun to talk about our kids, though, during data meetings. The teachers can already predict, for the most part, even with a certain amount of expected growth for the next 2 months, there are certain kids that will need to be there, so we've already started planning. And also, Summer Academy is a time to teach differently. You know, the teachers have taken their shot at it. The first try, the second try, the third try, the 10th try. So in Summer Academy, you should try some different things. And so we're having some exciting conversations talking about mixing people up, turning upside down grade levels where maybe an upper elementary will teach lower elementary and vice versa, or an elementary teacher who understands reading, teaching at the middle school. So we're really trying to be thoughtful and do something that'll be invigorating for the teachers and the students when they're like, whoa, you know, I didn't know you were going to be my teacher. So it's exciting to think about things differently. See, I told you it was going to be all great news. So tell me what questions you have. This is different. This is going to be more rigorous, and and more demanding and longer, and it's only because it's what's needed. Something different was needed in years previous, and now's the time to much like with BPI and your comment about BPI, we might have been a little bit behind, but we were holding our own for quite a while. COVID is just really, reality has set in, and so it's time to take every opportunity to shore kids up. So here we are. So what are your questions, comments?
I have two.
Okay.
So I think today 2 questions. Can you explain what extended school year is? Is that just like the courses they took during the school year, they didn't quite pass them, so we're giving them an extra 4 weeks? Sure. Is that
sort of?
Okay.
Over to Stacey.
Okay.
So extended school year services are for students that have individualized education plans, and they qualify for those services. They're specially designed instruction, they're SPED services that students qualify for through their IEP. And the summer is a great time to be able to provide those services. So in the parameters of summer school, with transportation already being in place, that framework already happening to be able to transport the kids to a location, having a special education teacher on staff to be able to provide those services, it allows that service to happen really easily.
I guess I'm confused as to what the service
It would be math support or reading support or whatever the goals are on the student's IEP.
Okay.
The criteria are things like they go through each IEP goal, and if the student hasn't mastered a goal because of they've regressed over a certain time, or they have not shown that they recouped their knowledge from a goal, like when they came back from winter break, and it took them a month to be able to recoup what they learned previously. So there's data surrounding how you qualify for ESY. And so the IEP team goes through that criteria.
I got you.
So, and Stacey might clobber me over the head, but I didn't understand what it was when I first started as principal, and someone told me, so summer academies for students who want to grow, and something like extended school year is because you're trying to hold on desperately to a student you don't want to regress. So it's that important, and it's really high stakes, and for that reason it's a small student number. It could even be 1 student and a teacher. But we're just holding on for dear life to extend the school year so that next year when school starts, it's not like, where are we again? Is this my desk? What's happening? I mean, that's a very layman example, but just hold on for dear life.
And our numbers for ESY tend to be very small, but there may be a few students that the IEP team really has done the checklist, and they know that these students need this extra time so they don't regress over the summer.
I got you. Okay. And my second question is for the resilience counseling groups, is there some sort of framework, curriculum, or what exactly are the students going to be? I mean, you might not have the answer tonight, that's fine, but what exactly are they going to be doing in that? And is there a way to kind of see what activities, what is the goal, and is this something? And then I guess an extension, is this something that students sign up for, that they want to go into it, or are we identifying students that we think need to be in it? And I'm assuming parents are involved in that process of that.
So it's 3 different ways. So as I know that you know, the elementary counselor has been in communication with parents all year about what does your student need, would they be interested in any of these small groups. So a lot of it is parent driven through those small groups that are already happening. We've also talked about certain students and what their prospective needs might be as part of data meetings. Some students have sort of nominated themselves as far as telling us about things that are going on in their lives. And a lot of what's going to be happening during those weeks are our time with a counselor to talk about whatever it is that needs to be talked about. And some of the programs we've partnered with are like dream catchers, so the horse therapy, the Brace School, which was one of the first African American schools in Williamsburg, and other, there's I believe a Native American American drum person, drum woman, yeah, that already have the thread of resilience in some of their school programs. So the idea, and Ms. Bird has worked a lot with this concept of hope, is to use the summer to give the students some experiences which show them that hope is alive and well, that you can be in this situation and not be in a situation down the road, or you can develop coping skills, or you're not always a child and powerless, like one day you grow up. As the mother of 13 foster children, children who were very afraid of their parents, I said, don't you worry, when you're 6'2", we're gonna look different to you. And things change, but kids don't have that ability on their own oftentimes to develop resilience and hope. So we're just giving some of our students those tools that they can be, that they can access a little easier than in their life day to day ordinarily. So that might be, I know there's so much going on right now, but that might be a great instructional or presentation for you all maybe after the summer when you can see like what has happened. And
We would love that.
Yeah.
It'd be great to invite some parents to that.
yes,
I mean,
yeah,
parents need that too.
yeah, I know, it's true,
I
it's
mean,
true, it's
just-
true. Yes, in the concept of hope, like Ms. Bird, you can jump in at any time, but we've attended the Virginia ASCD sessions with a lady who's researching hope, which sounds like at first a little like intangible, like what are we talking about again? But Mike Cole and some of our other teachers have really latched onto it. Do you want to describe it a little bit, Ms. Bird?
Yeah, I don't mind, because it, because when Mike Cole first told me about it, I was like, you hear hope, resilience, we hear grit a lot, kids don't have grit. And so a teacher, and I think she's in Virginia Beach, she's that direction, and she has a really great personal story, but there is a lot of research behind scientific hope. And it incorporates resilience, grit, all those things that we say kids don't have, but you have to teach it and they have to learn it. And so the research is fascinating. I'm a nerd, I like to research. And so it involves teaching children to set goals, meet goals, pathways, what happens when you don't get there, or somebody throws a wrench in your plan. And then how do you get the willpower to do it? And all of that is taught and can be taught at school. And if you think about your own growing up, your parents probably did that naturally for you without recognizing it. So a couple of things that we're going to start incorporating, and it's funny because Ms. Roach and I just had that conversation and we sent the book Dr. Fraser's way, but she has a book called School of Hope, and it's how do you, in your classrooms, like she has an incredibly high pass rate. She's a special educator. In math and in English, her kids pass those SOLs, and because she explicitly teaches the 3 components of hope. And so that's something we're going to be looking at, at the middle school level to start in particular, but that's incorporated in a lot of these sessions, and we're just going to start really looking at hope. Scientific hope is a greater predictor of success in school and grades and SOL scores than most anything, which was shocking to me. I had to verify that. But we have a way to find out where kids are and their internal thinking, and if they're going to be successful. If we know that, and if we can teach that, why aren't we incorporating it? So we're really going to start taking a look at that. So that's a piece of what's going on.
Thank you.
I'm the one up here talking, but we've all been working towards these goals and these programs and these projects. When I say all, I mean all. Anything else?
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I also want to thank Dr. Hauser. It's definitely been a lot of work behind not only the preschool expansion, but also behind reimagining Summer Academy. And we know the needs that both of these things are what's best for children. And so I am pleased with her leadership in helping us stay pointed in the right direction in our instructional department. So thank you.
Innovate. Love it. All right, action items. First up, expenses and revenue reports. Got a motion to consider approving our expenditures and receive our revenue reports.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Second. Second, any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Our cafeteria expenditures, we have a motion to consider approving our cafeteria expenditures. So moved. We have a motion, we have a second.
Second?
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, motion carries. Personnel. We have a motion to consider approving our personnel recommendations.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. I've got a couple donations to approve. Some glasses. Some money.
We are definitely thankful for
Yeah, the glasses were nice, but
NASA
I got to
donating those
use a
glasses.
pair of those that my kids brought home.
I waited till the last minute and I could not find him, so I'm glad y'all have it.
Do we have a motion to consider approving those two donations?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Our 2024 CTE plan, our Perkins plan for 2024-25. Do I have a motion to approve our 24-25 Perkins plan for CTE?
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Our special education plan for next school year. Do I have a motion to consider approving the 24-25 special education annual plan?
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, motion carries. Student tuition renewals for next year. Do I have a motion to approve tuition renewals for the 24-25 school year?
So moved.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. Any other discussion?
Just a question.
Yes.
I guess we're just getting them along,
Right, so,
because I was looking at that list, and I thought, this doesn't seem like the full list.
right, so we approved some last month.
Right.
So now we have some this month. We have been moving and pushing them along as we have received them.
Okay.
We did not want to
Wait.
wait. We want to confirm with them. We want families to know that their slot has been confirmed up.
Did we come up with a deadline? No, I think I mentioned last meeting, like, do we have a hard deadline that they need to submit for renewals?
You know what, I don't really follow up on that, but
Okay.
I will do that. I will also, and I will find out how many we have outstanding and.
Yeah, great.
The only,
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
order, bang!
Dr. Hauser, for tuition process.
So yeah, we're working on tuition classes. One of the drivers of tuition is that kindergarten class, and until we get an accurate number for who we have registered in town for kindergarten, it's really hard to accept any kindergarten students. So that, I mean, last year really threw us off, and so a lot of it's really sad too, because a lot of the older siblings, that's contingent on whether they come back or not. So some of that, we're always trying to make it official earlier and earlier for the reasons that you suggested at the last meeting, but it's really hard because there's a lot of unknowns. And now, like with some of the houses and like what we saw at preschool information night last week, it's hard for us to make our end of the commitment. anytime soon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We will,
No, I
we will definitely.
don't mean to apologize. I just felt like, you know,
We will definitely
sooner we
see.
get it resolved.
We will definitely see how many are outstanding.
Mhm.
We will make contact with those families to see what, what's their intention. And we'll move forward and if we're able to put a deadline in place, then we'll do that. We'll update the board at our meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, all in favor of the 24-25 tuition renewals, please say aye. Aye. All that opposed, motion carries. Our last action item, the calendar for this year, Dr. Frazier, would you like to
Yes, I
talk a
would.
little about this?
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation to the board to adjust the calendar at the end of the school year. So we will make, we know that Memorial Day is that last Monday in May. And so that is May 27th, and so we would bring students back on May 28th. That would be a full day. We would make May 29th an early release day for students, and that would be the last of the school. We would make May 30th a professional learning day, and then the last day for teachers would be May 31st. That amends that last day of school, which is currently set for May 31st.
Is there gonna be specific professional learning activities that day, or is this like, departments getting together, or we still figuring it out?
We are still figuring out that
That's fine.
plan, but we also know that our teachers do want time for literacy.
Right.
And so we will more than likely have some specific things planned for them that day. And even if some of that is some vertical planning, but we will more than likely create a plan and a schedule for staff. And of course, we're able to do this because we have additional banked time due to
No snow.
I assume SOLs are done, like this doesn't interfere with testing,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
content.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
We're gonna have some happy
Yeah,
kids.
teachers too.
And teachers, yeah.
We have a motion to approve the adjustment to the 23-24 school calendar.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right. Informational items, we got a few things there. Anyone have questions?
Just always say, as we're approaching the end of the school year, always, just remember that we do have a calendar of events, for your record, so you can always participate in this.
All right. Delegations, Julie? All right. Our future agenda items as well as our next general meeting, which will be May 21st.